Next, we're going to see how to use the retries functionality in Cypress. So whenever a test fails, you'll be able to retry the test how many ever times you want to retry without it just failing on you like that. Because sometimes the test can be flaky, and then, so if you let it retry, then you can make a decision based on whether it passed or not when it ran again. So it's very easy to use that. All you have to do is just go to cypress.json file and add retries and add how many ever times you want to retry the test. For example, 3. So now when you do this, when you have a test failure, the test will automatically retry. So let's test how to do this, okay? Now, for example, I am going to give a wrong locator over here. So I'm just gonna say, instead of log out, I'm gonna do this. And then I'm gonna see if, try again. And I'm gonna run this test. We'll see if it fails on us and if it retries. If it retries, let's see how many times it retries. You know what? This is actually not a good test because it does contain logout, but it's just not the full one. So it does contain a part of logout. So let's change what we wanted to change in the test. So instead of that, let's give a wrong one over here. Okay. So now let me try to run this and see. I'm gonna stop this and I'm gonna run this again. So as you can see, it's wrong over there. So it's attempting second time. Attempting third time. Attempting again. Okay, so it'll retry. So it retried 3 times apart from the first time it ran, and then it gave us an error over here. So now we see that the retry functionality worked. Now if I just put this back, let's try to run it again. Okay, so now this has passed. So we see that the retry functionality worked, and then when we corrected it, it started to pass. Another important advanced feature that we have in this is environment variables. Now, for example, if you have tests in different environments like staging and production and sandbox, you'd want a place to store all of the URLs in a neat manner. So usually the Cypress.json file is a good place to get all of those things sorted. So usually we'll just add an environment like this. And then we'll add whatever we want to add, like for example, username, password, or any like sandbox URL, etc. So all of those can be added over here, and they can be accessed in, why is this like this? Let me just give something over here for now. So you get the point. And then you can use them wherever needed. For example, you can just, when you use them in the script, you can say cypress.environment. So the syntax is actually mentioned in this documentation that we looked at. So for example, wait, where did that go? Go to guides and then go to environment variables. Okay, so here's a document. So in this document, so if you say, you can use it as cypress.environment and then have your environment variables name set up over there. That's how you'll call it wherever you're using it. Now there are so many different ways to do this. Cypress has mentioned about 6 options, I think. First is a configuration file like I showed you, and then you just say cypress.environment and then call it wherever you need it. This is the most simplest way and the mostly widely used way as well. Great for values that need to be checked into source control and remain the same on all machines. Downsides, it works only for values that should be the same across all machines. Then the option 2 is to use cypress.environment.json file. The benefit of this is the dedicated file just for environment variables. So it enables you to generate this file from other build processes as well. And values can be different on each machine if it's not checked into the source control. So if everyone has different variables, like different values, then it can be saved in this and can be used accordingly. Some of the downsides of this is that it's an overkill for 1 or 2 environments, and it's just another file that you kind of have to deal with and maintain. Then this is a third level where any OS environment variable on your machine starts with either Cypress dash or Cypress dash will automatically be added to Cypress environment variables and made available to you. Conflicting values will override values from your configuration file. So some of the benefits of this is quickly export some values from here. It can be stored in your bash profile, especially useful for CI environments. Downside is it's not as obvious where values come from versus other options where there's a dedicated file where you can actually see what are the environment variables and all of that. And then the fourth option is giving it the flag, env flag argument for the Cypress run. So benefits of this is that it does not require any changes to files or configuration. It's more clear where environment variables come from, allows for dynamic values between different machines. So you can have different environment variables, I can have different environment variables, and I can put it while I'm running this. And it overrides all other forms of setting environment variables. Downsides is pain to write the env options everywhere when you use Cypress, and no support for nested fields in this. And then the next option is using plugins. So instead of setting environment variables in a file, you can use plugins to dynamically set them with Node code. So this is what it kind of looks like. And some of the benefits is the amount of flexibility and then ability to manage configuration however you like. Downsides, you need more knowledge of writing in Node, and it's a little more challenging. And then the next option is test configuration. You can set environment variables for specific suites or tests by passing the environment variables to the test configuration, What that means is in your describe, when you write this, you can just also mention your environment variables over here and then pass it from there. Um, the benefits is it only takes effect for duration of the test suite or test, and it's more clear where environment variables come from, and it allows for dynamic values between tests because you can pass things like these over. So take a look at these examples. They're very useful, and you can make a decision on which method you want to use depending on the problem that you're trying to solve. As I said, this guide is always so handy because anything you need will be available in the guide along with examples in a very good manner.